So I have a question, and then I'd like to make a comment on the whole issue. My first question is, we talk about a figure of $200,000, and I don't see that as being the real figure, because you haven't factored in what it's going to cost to excavate, what it's going to cost to deal with this stuff after it's put in at a later date. So to say it's only going to cost us $200,000, I don't think is appropriate. And I'm going to, if I could make my comments on the issue, Mr. Chair, now, or do you want to get the questions?
Well, let's just that question, because there's another part of the equation that I think we also need to understand, is that by us taking in those kitchen scraps up to the heartland, there is, the way I've calculated, $87 a ton income that we'll be making on these that otherwise wouldn't have been taken in at the heartland. So, but if could, on the money side, perhaps we can get to see if there's any additional information from, looks like Mr. Smith's going to turn on his microphone.
Thank you. Through the chair, really we have bringing kitchen scraps across the scales in this temporary fix to the issue, and providing the storage would generate approximately $107 a ton of revenue to Heartland, of which $20 would be paid around the kitchen scraps diversion incentive that's there. So there's some net dollars that are available to help fund that capital, to also fund what is estimated to be about a $20 a ton operating costs associated with placing and dealing with that material in the short term. And then the staff report certainly identifies there are additional costs, as pointed out by Director Milne, in terms of the reclaiming of that food waste and ultimately putting it through and processing it in what is determined to be the long-term processing facility. So there certainly is room, and those details will certainly be further vetted in the October staff report in terms of what the longer-term processing costs would be associated with that and the proposed funding.
Thank you very much. Now, okay, back to Director Milne, please.
Okay, so I think there's a much bigger issue here than just dollars. Quite frankly, at times I'm embarrassed to say I'm a representative of the CRD because they see us as people who make knee-jerk reactions, and whether that's perceived or real, I don't know. We're hell-bent on this path to reduce stuff to the Heartland landfill, and that's a laudable goal. But it isn't laudable at the expense of the residents, Central Stench residents in the area, and the dollars that we are going to spend. We talk here about $200,000, but we don't know all these other costs, so there's more money. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I think that we're on the verge, technologically-wise, of being able to convert waste to energy, and I think that's the only way to go in the long term. I think we need to step back. We need to take a long, serious look at how we're going to do this in the long term. We don't solve anything by doing this short-term solution to do things that we don't even know what the cost is going to be, and it hasn't solved the problem. What are we going to do with this when that little bundle of land gets full? So I think we need to step back, take a look at a long-term solution, go back to the way it was until we can sort something out, and I can't support this staff proposal.
I'm not sure about the hell-bent issue, because this was a decision made on this committee quite some time ago to support it. But
Mr. Chair, it's a term I used, and I also followed up by saying it's a laudable goal. I think it's a good thing, but by saying hell-bent, I think we're going too quick, and that's what I'm talking about. We need to look at the long term, not just the short term.